Buenas tardes and good evening, everyone. Nice to see so many of you in the live session. And for those of you listening to the recording, hello to you as well. My name is Dr. Stephen Soanes from the University of Warwick in the United Kingdom. And in this short session, I'm going to be introducing the flexibility of choice that you have when you choose to study in the UK. I'm going to talk through a university where I myself was a student 3 times. So I've lived Warwick, I love Warwick, and I'm really looking forward to introducing my university to you. When people ask me what is distinctive about Warwick, I have to think, because many universities you'll be listening to may sound, on the surface, similar. But we are quite a distinctive university as a founding member of the UK Russell Group. And as a relatively young member of that Russell Group, we are at once both very research driven, but also focused on careers outside academia. So students automatically get a lot of choice. You can choose to continue with academic study and to go into research with a PhD, maybe working for a university longer term, or you can work for one of the many multinational companies that specifically target our students. In this presentation, I'm going to focus on that flexibility of choice, and particularly the flexibility of degree options that you have at Warwick. But I'm going to introduce other dimensions, including our international focus. Now, we are a world's top 20 international university. So anywhere in the world, you can go any city and you'll find that Warwick is one of that top 20 most international universities. So even though we're not in London or in Singapore or in New York, we are nevertheless also really well connected to the wider world. One of the things that defines Warwick for me is our student body. So if you come and join us, you will be joining a very dynamic, very proactive, very internationally focused set of students who are fully engaged with that wider world. One example of this is our Economic Summit, which is a student-led society. And every year the society runs a global forum on topics in economics. Now, even before this event that we had in January, you will see that we had 7 Nobel laureates that had attended previous events. We've had leaders of political parties. We've had CEOs and leaders of companies, all taking part in this conversation around current topics in global economics. Now, the event ran this year, and you can see the videos at the top of the screen here, which you can watch on your own, and you can see some fantastic speakers. We've got 2 Nobel Prize winners that joined for this year. We had the Queen of Jordan, we had the CEO of the Financial Times, and we had Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Union, amongst those many really high-profile speakers that were invited. Warwick likes to compete, so you'll find our Quiz Society was backing our University Challenge team this year. This is a programme that's been on the BBC for many decades, and this is the second time that Warwick has now won it. We actually won that competition. We beat Imperial College London in the semi-final. We beat Cambridge in the final, and it's the second time now in 15 years that the University of Warwick has triumphed in this particular challenge. So students like learning, they're curious about the world, they like competing, they like connecting to lots of knowledge and lots of ideas. And you will see that reflected back when you look at league tables. Now, each one of these league tables tells you something a little bit different. So it is always worthwhile checking out multiple rankings. You will see from this example here from the Times and the Sunday Times that 9 of our different large subject areas are in the UK top 5. So although we're a young university, we are nevertheless competing with the very best universities anywhere in the UK. If you expand that focus, we are very much in the upper reaches of international league tables. So we're top 20 in Europe, and we're firmly embedded in the top 100 universities anywhere across the globe. I've talked already about our career aspirations for our students. So that's best reflected in multinational companies that tend to headhunt the very best talent worldwide. We are the 6th most targeted university in the UK with those top 100 UK graduate recruiters. And we're top 40 in the world for employer reputation. Now, we are a university that has, from its inception, grown up as a firmly embedded European university. So 3 years after we were opened, we set up a base in Venice, in Italy. We still have a piazza there where we do some of our teaching. And we've had many international partnerships, especially so in Europe, but much more widely than that. So we now have partnerships with the Far East, with North America, with Latin America, and indeed with Australia. We are one of those research-intensive universities that's part of a Europe-wide guild, and we're part of an ever-expanding European university network called EUtopia, which gives you opportunities as a student to connect up with different academic settings, potentially to do a co-tutel PhD at a later stage. So we know that Brexit has happened. Warwick is even more committed to Europe and to the wider world than we've ever been. That is reflected back in the career destinations of our graduates. Now, the big companies, the best known companies, will come onto campus. They will have a careers fair, in many cases, dedicated to their sector. And some of the examples you see here would be typical destinations for Warwick Business School graduates and for other students taking a business-related degree. These may not be surprising. What may be more surprising is that if you take a humanities or indeed a social science degree, many of these same employers will be looking to target you, to hire you, and start you on a graduate program as part of a milk round scheme. So yes, if you're taking history or politics or economics, you could be looking at companies like KPMG, Procter & Gamble, Barclays, Deloitte, big media firms, as well as the third sector, charities, the public sector, and the creative sector, which of course is such a rich set of opportunities for our creatively minded graduates. Warwick is right in the middle of England, so we're between the 2 largest cities. To the northwest, you have Birmingham, which is the 2nd largest city in England. And of course, London is nearby to the southeast. London on train is only 60 minutes away, and that will get you straight into London Euston. So you're in central London in a matter of minutes. You know, it's an hour, and you can be taking advantage of all of those big city opportunities. I've mentioned employers. So if you are looking to work for a big company, you can get to these quite easily from our university. At the same time, although we're extremely well connected, we are a campus university in quite a diverse part of the country. We have historic towns and cities on our doorstep. Of course, Birmingham was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. To the south, we have Kenilworth, we have Warwick, we have Leamington Spa. 2 of those 3 places have castles of 900 or 1,000 years old. And you have a real mix of local opportunities if you want to go somewhere a bit smaller, a bit more historic, a bit greener. As a campus university that is ourselves very green, you have the countryside at your disposal. One great thing for Spanish students is we have an international airport right next door to our campus. This was set up by a Warwick graduate, and Birmingham International Airport now flies to Madrid, it flies to Barcelona, it flies to many other cities across Iberia. Campus was one of the things that made me choose Warwick. Rankings came first, and I chose the top ranked universities in the UK for my applications. I was thrilled when Warwick said yes. I hadn't expected Warwick to say yes, and they did. But actually, it was going to an open day and seeing campus that all of those many years, and indeed decades ago, convinced me to study at Warwick. And I think it's one of the lovely things that we have when you come to us as a student, that you are not separated from those taking different subjects. At Warwick, instead, you share this campus and you have that opportunity to try things out. So the theme for my talk today is very much on that flexibility of choice. If you're taking a business subject, but you're interested in law or in psychology or in economics or in another area entirely, maybe a modern language subject, you have the opportunity to take these modules in a whole host of related subject areas. Moreover, you are sharing campus so you can keep having informal conversations, you can keep attending society events, seminars, conferences, TEDx talks, all of the above and more. So you're really engaged with this wider intellectual world that expands beyond your degree area to encompass a whole host of related subjects. Campus is so much more than your degree. It is an international mix of people from all sorts of walks of life, from a variety of cultures. And I will show you a little bit more about the cultural societies that we have in a moment. It bears repeating that Warwick is in that international group of the most global-faced universities anywhere. So alongside cities like London, like Zurich, like Hong Kong, like Singapore, our campus in Coventry is also that international, is comparably international. We have a music centre, we have an expanding arts centre, which at the moment is getting even larger, thanks to the City of Culture victory that Coventry had. We are the UK's City of Culture for this year. And you're always meeting people on campus that you've seen for drinks, maybe had a coffee with, maybe played sports with, maybe practiced your musical instrument with, in this single shared campus that has a really community feeling about it. Warwick's campus is a community of staff and of students where you can feel at home. Now, I went to campus for the first time in 6 months earlier in April, and I took a couple of photos when I was there. So the picture on the right is one of my own personal photos of our new arts faculty building. I'll show you some more professional shots in a moment of what that's going to look like when it's completed. But campus is both very green, there's lots of natural space, lots of beautiful planting, flowers and trees, lakes and wildlife. But it's also an internationally reputed centre of academic excellence. So we now have a 5-floor biomedical science building. We have lots of new research facilities, teaching facilities, learning spaces. And every year since I've been at Warwick, over a span of 20 years or more, there's always been something new happening. We're a young, dynamic campus that never sits still, and we're continuing to expand and to grow according to the research needs of the wider world. Now, I am a graduate of history, so I am especially excited by the new Faculty of Arts building. It's a light, airy space with lots of public engagement areas, lots of new teaching facilities. It's a really beautiful new building. And in terms of studying at Warwick, I can see some questions coming into the live chat about English language. You can actually check out English language for yourself on the link at the very bottom of this page. So you'll see there you've got our undergraduate requirements, and you can click through from there to get to lots of other resources. And actually the link just above that gives you the link to English language specifically. What you can see here is the range of marks that we ask for all of our degree areas. Typically, most of our requirements will tend to be in the middle of this table. So a 9.0 at Bachelораto, or a 38 if you're taking the International Baccalaureate, would be standard for subjects like law, politics, business, management, history, English, and many other subjects. But it does vary. So for PPE, for example, for computer science, for mathematics, indeed for economics, the requirement will tend to be a little bit higher, whereas for other subjects, it may be a little bit lower. I've just seen a question in the chat about scholarships, and thank you very much for asking. Very well timed, because we have, for the very first time in 2021, had a scholarship available. This is the very first time that we've run this, so I don't know at the moment what we will have in 2022, but this does give you an example of the sort of scheme that we have started to introduce, partly as a result of Brexit, where we want to make study affordable for European students, but not just for European students. These scholarships are open to any international student, precisely because we want this dynamic, international, intercultural, world-facing campus to remain as it is. So you have the excitement of those conversations with people from Bali, as well as Belgium, from the United States, as well as Spain. So it will be a really mixed experience for you, with a really global network that results. You can see we've had 250 scholarships available this year alone, and some of those have been full fee awards that would pay for all of your tuition cost for your academic teaching. 160 students this year will get £13,000 towards that tuition, and a further 70 will get £2,000. Now, if we look at the subject areas you can study, you will see that we teach in a lot of different areas. These are grouped according to faculty. So the arts building that you've just seen will be the home for our arts and humanities subjects. Our social science faculty has its own social science building. Indeed, some of these subjects have their own dedicated facility on campus, such as Warwick Business School, for example. And science, engineering and medicine has a lot of laboratory space, lots of research facilities, and takes up the largest footprint on campus, even though it's not the largest faculty. So you will see a whole set of dedicated facilities for data, for statistics, for mathematics, for health research, for the biosciences, and many other subjects. On the left-hand side, I've given you some images just from our research priorities, and we have a number of these. So areas such as connecting cultures will be a research area for Warwick. Other research areas for Warwick will include energy, food, habitability and sustainability, behavioural science, sustainable materials, sustainable cities, and lots of other areas. So if you have interest in these particular themes or others, please do check out our pages to see what opportunity you have to study in an area that is of interest to you. I just want to prompt here, excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat, just bear with me just a second. this slide speaks for itself. So I could take a sip of water and you could read this while I was doing that. These are just prompt questions for you as students to think about what sort of degree it is that you specifically want. Warwick's degrees are not one size fits all. They are instead tailored to different audiences. So some of you may want to get into a professional area, and you know right now exactly what area it is you want to work in the future. If so, look out for degrees that have a high core module content, where the curriculum and syllabus is established in advance. Look out for degrees with accreditation that give you professional recognition to take into that particular professional domain. If you are a different sort of student and you like to think about big questions, you don't want to be tied down, but you do want choice, look instead for a different type of degree that is focused on big questions. Others of you may share one or other of those, but additionally want to have a global experience. You will get that at Warwick, so we will give you a really diverse global experience on campus. But additionally, we have opportunities to travel for a year, maybe to combine international work experience with international study at a second university. You may be able to take an intercalated year, or if you're taking PPE, for example, take an integrated year where you study for 1 year at Warwick, 1 year at another international university, and then your final year again returning to Warwick. These are just some examples to give you an illustration of that international mix of degrees that we have. So degrees like cybersecurity, for example, are accredited by GCHQ in the UK and have 100% core modules where we fix the syllabus for you. Much more common at Warwick are these other degrees where you get a huge amount of choice. And I'm now going to give you some examples of those in the next slides after this one. If you do want an international experience, I would encourage you to look for a degree where you have a guaranteed global year, whether through a study abroad year, or, for example, international management, where you get the opportunity to either work or study in combination. If you were looking at business and engineering, and you were considering both subjects, you have already at Warwick a huge amount of choice between the degrees that you can choose between. Some of them combine, so you may find, for example, degrees like engineering business management that would allow you to take both business and engineering in combination, being taught by Warwick Business School and by our School of Engineering. Or you may choose a degree that links to another subject. So physics with business would be 75% physics, 25% business. Or you could study in Warwick Business School and do a management degree, a business degree, or accounting and finance. So there's already a lot of choice available to you. Even if you chose one of those many degrees, and international management is the example I'm using to illustrate, you can see the amount of choice that you have in years 2, years 3, and years 4 to curate your own degree. So you can decide for yourself what modules you want to study. Many of them will be available from within business school. They've had 70 or 80 option modules in the past, open to undergraduates. But equally, you may decide you want to work with psychology, maybe even engineering, and you want to take an elective module outside your department. These on request can be arranged. And this is what I'm saying about the flexibility. Warwick's degrees tend to give you this freedom of choice to own your own degree and to make the degree what you want it to be. Now, within business, you'll be exposed to the core areas of your future professional life. It gives you a chance to try things out. So if you're not certain about accounting, you will get a module in that and you can see whether you enjoy it. If you do, great, take more accountancy modules as your free choice. If not, you can be looking at entrepreneurship, marketing, strategy, and a whole host of other choices that you get to decide. Alongside that choice, however, we also give you a focus. So unlike some countries where you can choose loads of things and emerge with an eclectic but maybe incoherent degree, in the UK and at Warwick, you can choose a pathway that gives your degree a focus. So you emerge with an international management with finance degree, for example, that will carry weight in the corporate world of international finance. If you're looking at engineering, the same applies. So we offer general engineering, where you might sign up to one of these particular options. You may choose to study a degree in civil engineering or automotive engineering or electrical and electronic engineering, for example. Indeed, biomedical engineering is another option. But you're not made to choose conclusively, so that if in year one you try things out and you change your mind, that's okay. We encourage that, and we want you to take the route that is correct and appropriate for your particular emerging interests. Engineering encourage you to take internships. Indeed, many of our departments do. And engineering has an internships and placements officer that can help you find a company to work with. There is a strong emphasis on project work, on collaborative enterprise. You have a build space you can use, and you can keep adapting according to your emerging interests. So each year you get to choose modules from year 2 onwards, and we encourage you to give things a try, to use your degree as a proving ground that can then be a launch pad to the most appropriate career in the future. These are common modules for year 1, and you can see that you try out and get foundational knowledge in many of the core areas essential to engineering. But you then get a chance to specialize later on. And many of these are accredited routes, yet again, where you get industry backing and industry recognition for your degree that will make getting a job afterwards easier. To give you more examples, combining business and politics, some of those examples stay the same, but a whole host of other degree options become available to you, including politics and international studies, of course, but also degrees in combination with philosophy, with law, with economics, with modern languages, and many other humanities and social science subjects. Again, you get the chance to specialize, so we give your degree enough of a focus that you emerge with a meaningful bachelor's that has coherence. You can specialize in areas like public policy, international relations, international political economy. But yet again, you don't need to choose now, or indeed in year 1. You can keep choosing throughout your degree according to your emerging academic interests. You can see from the screen how much we do in areas like EU policy making, ethics, sustainability, economic policy making, border security. We do work on terrorism and espionage, for example, migration. So even one of those departments, even just politics and international studies, is hugely connected and allows you to explore according to your interests, to give things a try, maybe to try US foreign policy or East Asian foreign policy, 2 other big areas in this department, and keep your eyes open to new learning opportunities. These are some examples of the different modules you can choose between. They were very small and I couldn't fit any more in, so I've left it at this, but there are many more options than you can see on the screen in front of you now. And you can see that some of them are, really big in their scope. Topics like gender and development, topics like global governance, European Union policymaking, continue to be both big research areas, but also big Warwick research areas that you can take advantage of. More recent degree options include Global Sustainable Development, which is based on the UN's 3 big pillars of the societal, the environmental, and the economic. Again, this one subject area fuses to many other disciplines at Warwick. This is one of our big question degrees. It's probably our biggest big question degree that we offer, alongside things like liberal arts, health and medical sciences, and similar areas. And it gives you a chance, again, to give your degree some focus while keeping your options wide open. So you're earning a business degree or an economics degree or a politics degree, but you're taking a particular approach to sustainability in those settings and keeping learning about an emerging area that's going to be vital. Of course, we have a big global summit on sustainability at the moment. Whether you're a policymaker, whether you're a business leader, whether you are a biotechnologist, you're going to need to know about sustainability, and our degree can help you be a 21st century learner ready for the future. GSD gives you again the chance to take work experience if you want it, to take professional certificates, again to prepare you for the workplace, and indeed to take research projects if you're academically focused, if you're looking at an academic career that's focused on sustainability. So these are all choices. Now, your choice doesn't stop there. And one of the things that I particularly remember, and most of us you'll talk to from universities will remember, will be society memberships. This doesn't include sports clubs. This is just hobbies and interests that are not sport related that I'm showing you in these first slides. And we have more than 250 just on this particular area. So if you want to take part in volunteering, if you want to get involved with organising a TED Talk, if you want to get involved with travel, fundraising, charities, languages, music, comedy, you name it, you can try it out and not just be a participant, but be an organiser. So you remember I've shown you the Warwick economics slide and the fact that Ursula von der Leyen came to our online event this year. David Davis from the Conservative Party joined. That happened because of students. So you can be doing really meaningful activity, getting some really valuable CV-ready experience for your future career, or you can just have some fun with it. This is very much yours to own and to decide. I promised you that I was going to show you some of those intercultural societies that we have. And of course, we have a Spanish-speaking society, but we have many other cultures that you can get to know when you're at Warwick, from right across the world, the Americas, from Asia, right across Europe. There's a Latin American society, and there are many others that are doing wonderful work with languages, with food, and with cultural exchange. If you want to make the world a better place in different ways, we have welfare, charity, action, and campaigning societies. And indeed, we have academic societies, so you can keep taking up new subject areas. It's another facet and dimension of your choice when you study a degree at Warwick. If you were taking a degree like, I don't know, let's say law, but you were really interested in chemistry, you could still join ChemSoc and you could still get learning about different subject areas. We have a massive art centre right in the middle of campus, So you'll see the Royal Shakespeare Company, big touring companies, big name comedians. Indeed, in our art gallery on campus, you'll see big exhibitions, all happening for you to join in. Many of them will be free. And you can get involved yourself if you want to perform, if you want to do music, if you want to do film. There are so many societies to take advantage of. I'm going to wrap up in just a moment so I can take one or two of the questions that you've put into the chat. And thank you for writing these in. Now, I've already said we've got 250 societies at Warwick. We've actually got an additional 65 student-run sports clubs. So more than 300 student-run bodies that you can join and get involved with. Some of these clubs are just for beginners. So if you want to just try something out and you have never done something like skiing before, or you want to try out archery, you can do that by joining a club. Others will offer you the chance to do performance sports. So if you are a professional athlete, there are training and coaching opportunities that these will offer you to give you proper competitions, national and international level, that you can take advantage of. That is all I really want to say in terms of my presentation before I move over to the questions that you have been asking. And thank you for everyone who has asked me a question in the chat. You will be able to get this presentation afterwards. So we're recording this session at the moment, and we will make the video available to you as a link so you can rewatch it at your leisure. The University of Warwick also puts on many events throughout the year, including open days, departmental events, offer holder events, if you have already applied to us. And we have live chats. So if you do just want to ask us a very simple question and you only have 5 minutes to spare, that's fine. You can do that. You can join us in those live chats and talk to myself and a number of my other colleagues who are available to you at the moment on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You will see sometimes there are departmental sessions, and you can join those to get a particular insight. Warwick Business School have had students available to you recently, so you can join student panels. Politics, law, global sustainable development, sociology, history, English, many other subjects will have similar departmental sessions. I've put my email in the chat here. Now, do please write this down if you want to know more about Warwick. I am here for you, and I'm very happy to take any questions outside of the session later on if you'd like. So, if you and your parents perhaps want to set up a call, I can do that. We do have one-to-ones available to you after the session, so please do sign up to those. Book a one-to-one with me. Bring your family along if you'd like, and I'll be very happy to talk with you about your subject interests. Now you can see from the chat message, and for those of you not in the live session, that as of Saturday, the 24th of April, the presentation will be available online. Now, I have had some questions in the chat, so I'm going to just read through these in terms of what I have been asked. The first question that I haven't yet addressed was to do with Brexit, and that is an understandable question. Now, universities like Warwick have a huge faculty membership from the EU. We have a huge student body from the EU as well. Hundreds and hundreds of students from Europe study with us at any one time. And we don't want that to change. So we have been offering inducements like scholarships, and like the scholarship I showed you earlier, precisely because we want to make the transition to Warwick as smooth as possible, as obstruction-free as possible. Now, there are one or two extra steps that you will necessarily need to take if you come to study in the UK. These include potentially looking at the fees, which will have gone up if you don't have pre-settled or settled status. For any UK citizens living in Europe, actually we're holding home fees right the way through until 2028. because the government says we can, so we are. So actually fees for some of you may be lower. The other thing that students will need to look at will be visas. Very much the same if you're looking at the US or Australia or Canada. There is a visa system in place. And Warwick is a body that can give you sponsorship for your visa. We have a whole set of staff that are there to make that easier. So we will sponsor your visa request. We'll talk you through what's required to make that easier for you. I've got one or two more questions to cover, so I'm just going to walk through these. In terms of cost, British universities generally would be cheaper than America, but you would need to check that with the different institutions you're looking at. Warwick is one of those top-ranked universities, so our fees may be a little bit higher, but we are confident that the quality of education and the aspirations for your earning power after you graduate will be commensurately higher as well. We have the 6th highest paid graduates out of any of those 200 universities you can look at in the UK. So we have a wonderful set of opportunities if you do come to study with us to earn that money back and more, and be an extremely well-paid member of your community wherever you go and live and work in the world. In terms of rates of admission, I don't have a figure specifically on that, but something like 1 in 10 out of every applicant will be made an offer. It does vary depending on the course. What I would say is if your degree gives you some entry requirements and your grades are similar to that, you have a good chance of getting an offer. So do use that link, and I will put it into the chat for those of you in the live session to investigate what requirements we are asking for. If you follow that link there, it will show you perhaps that it's a 38 at IB, or it's a 9.0 in the Bachelorado. If you've got that sort of performance for your predicted grades, in most cases you're likely to get an offer. You know, I can't promise, but there's a good chance that you'll be eligible for an offer. There was one more question. In fact, there might be a couple more questions. Let's just have a look. So I have a student coming from Latin America. Great. Now, the person who's asked in the chat, if you maybe just want to write to me at the email address at the top, I will just write that in the live chat to you. And that goes for anyone listening into the presentation at the moment. If you're missing anything, please do email me direct. What I may do is I'll forward you on potentially to the right person. It may not be me that's going to answer your questions, but I am here as a link for you, as a clearinghouse essentially, to take any questions and resolve those questions on your behalf. Thank you so much everyone for coming to the session today. I will stay in the session for as long as it's open to answer any more private or public questions that you want to ask. You're very welcome to keep asking me questions if you have them. But it's wonderful to have had so many of you in the room today. And if anyone listening would like to ask me later on, please do join us for these one-to-ones, and please do keep in touch.
Thank you very much from Spain.
Thanks, everyone. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye-bye.